Welcome back, everybody, to the Harsch Review. We are an entertainment podcast, and we like to talk about movies and news. I talk like this now. I've been watching The Norseman. Yeah.
Sounds like Fargo. Sounds like Fargo a little bit.
It's a little Minnesota.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, don't you know?
Oh, don't you know?
Yeah, I never heard of that.
So, anyways, my name is Sean. I'm here with Ryan, and let's get into it. Yes, Norseman. It's Netflix. I've been watching this show. I started watching it a little while ago, kind of been on and off. It's like a Viking-themed show from Norway, and a lot of friends are into it. We were talking, us playing games with NFAC podcast on Twitch for the last 2 nights. And, Matt and Dylan have been watching it, and they start talking like this, and they don't even realize it. And so everything kind of ends like it's a question.
Right. And there's no cursing because we're really polite,
Yeah.
Like, so we say geez and darn and gosh, but we don't say other words.
Yeah. It's like a, Viking show that is kind of like The Office, but it's a different take for a Viking show because it's really kind of funny, but totally weird.
Sounds funny.
I think you'll dig it because it's
when you told
really
me what
violent.
It was,
but yeah,
I looked it up and I'm like, oh, it's a documentary about Vikings, and it's like, no, Norwegian comedy series, and I was like, oh,
yeah,
so
not a documentary.
Is it subtitled or no?
No, it's English. I think they film it twice. They'll do it in their native tongue, and then they'll film it again in English. I'm like almost finished with season 1, and when you start watching it a lot, and that's how everybody talks, you kind of start to change how you talk, So
that happens with Fargo when I watch Fargo too.
Oh, yeah.
After that, you start picking up that accent, especially if you're into something so much. I don't know. It's really subconscious, I guess.
Yeah, it's like when you watch a lot of like British TV and you're like, oh, I gotta go take the flat up to my, I gotta go take the lift up to my flat and get some chips.
Taking the piss, right?
Yeah. Oh, bollocks. So
Bloody hell.
Yeah. Yeah. What about you, man? How you been doing?
I've been good. Just went on my break the other day, so looking forward to 3 weeks and nothing.
Sweet.
Yeah. Which well-deserved
3 weeks and nothing. Welcome to nothing but robes and slobbing around.
Yep.
Slippers.
I gotta walk the dog though, so things to do.
Just get one of those little patches of plastic grass that you put in the corner and just have them go in that thing.
I got even better. I got the little pads. Just throw a bunch of those down.
Do they work still?
I have them. Like he'll go on them if they're there. If I cover the whole floor with them,
yeah.
The ratio of it's going to be the proportions there.
Yeah,
and I'll take them out. I'm take them outside. I can use the little sun.
There you go.
Exercise.
Yeah.
I'll have to watch that Norseman. Sounds pretty good.
Yeah, check it out. They're like half-hour episodes. They're real quick. Yeah, but it's a weird balance between like Viking violence, blood, and it's kind of crude, which is kind of funny. But they're all kind of dumbasses, so it's interesting. It's pretty unique. Check it out.
Nice.
So what about you? What's new with you?
Well, I've been watching a few things, some really bad things. I'll start with those.
Yeah, let's hear it.
First thing was Gotti, which was
Is it the Travolta one?
Yeah, like we heard about this way before it was supposed to come out, and so I don't know what kind of mood I was in, but I'm like, yeah, let's just see how bad it is, Apparently it got like a 0% on Rotten Tomatoes. It was not as bad as I thought it would be, but it's bad. It's not good.
So Travolta is terrible?
Yeah, like he's just like chucking out every single like mafia cliche. I don't know what it is, but like when he cusses, like when he uses profanity, it's like offensive to me. And usually it isn't, So it's like I'll watch other movies laden with profanity. When he cusses and says, F this and motherfucker and stuff. It just doesn't sound right coming from him. It's just not a good movie. Like I gave it about an hour and I turned it off. So I got about halfway through. Everything seemed so familiar. It was really trying to be like Scorsese with like the hit music for the times, but you just don't like this guy at all. He was a dick. So I didn't really like it. Would not recommend it even to my own worst enemy.
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, he was bad in the People versus O.J. Simpson. He just looked ridiculous in that show.
He was a different kind of bad, and this one, like it jumps around first of all with the narrative, but it doesn't really tell you what the time periods are, so it just kind of jumps around a little bit too much. So you're in a constant state of confusion, pretty much as to what's going on or when this is happening, but not really any really sympathetic characters. Not that mafia movies have them, but I mean, you want someone to identify with a little bit. Goodfellas, I think it worked for me because even though the main character was a scumbag, he was doing the voiceover the entire time. So you kind of just latch onto that. With this one, really, I mean, he's doing a voiceover, but it's just like, he's not really commenting on anything. He's just like, then this happened, then this is going to happen. So it's just like, it almost insults the intelligence of the viewer when they're pretty much just telling you everything that's happening. It's not really a narrator that gives you a lot of insight into anything.
And if the character isn't compelling or believable, then the whole thing's going to go to shit. So, well,
right.
Gotti. Where's this at? Is this on HBO or something?
Amazon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I flipped over to another thing. It's called You Were Never Really Here.
With the Joaquin?
Yeah, I gave that one about 10 minutes, Sean. I couldn't do it.
Why?
It was just not good. Like I don't know, like I didn't know what was going on. The minute you see Joaquin with the big bushy beard, you're like, okay, he's in weirdo mode. I didn't know what was going on. I'd say 10 to 15 minutes. I just kind of gave up. Maybe it was a little bit later on, but there was like some very like disturbing images like I wasn't really prepared to watch.
With kids, right?
Yeah. So, I don't know. Maybe I'll give it another shot one day, but maybe
I heard he was great in it. I wanted to see it.
Yeah. I mean, maybe I'll try it again later, but maybe just the time, sometimes you put something on and it's like,
you're just not feeling it.
Not ready for this, but you
didn't
go back
hook you quick enough,
Yeah. There's just some like gross stuff in there that I wasn't really down with. So, I don't know. Maybe I'll go back to it.
Okay.
You were never really there. Joaquin Phoenix. I finished watching Mayans. As expected, it's the same thing we've talked about. Like it's just the male soap opera.
I'm surprised you finished that show.
Oh man. Oh, I mean, I am too. And you get sucked into this stuff. I did with SOA, Sons of Anarchy as well. Where you just like, you keep watching it and you don't really question yourself while you're watching it.
Well, you want to see how it ends, but you're just like, I'm this far. I'm not turning around now. I'm committed.
It's just like it's just so unbelievable. How like in an urban environment, like gunshots go off and nobody comes to check anything out, or it's like the cops are always, So it's just there is one like really kind of compelling character. He showed up in Sons of Anarchy season 4. He was like an attorney guy that's kind of eccentric. Lincoln Potter is the character's name. He was pretty cool. That was kind of an interesting take on like a district attorney or whatever. So that was like a good character, but all the other ones are just kind of like scumbags. You don't really want to identify with them. Last episode, they did tie it into Sons of Anarchy. As pretty much expected, it's going to have to happen. So, setting it up for season 2.
All right.
So we'd like probably 7 more seasons of this show.
Yeah. I wonder if it's actually like popular.
I didn't even know there were still like motorcycle gangs, so I'd be interested to see if I'm sure I know there are, but not like to this level. You know what I mean? It just kind of like says they're all like into crime, and that's how they get all their money and stuff. But it's, I mean, I wonder if there's like legit motorcycle gangs that are like critical of this show or whatever. But I'm sure it has some kind of following. I know Sons of Anarchy was big, right?
Yeah, it was pretty popular.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's. I know there's still motorcycle gangs, and even though it's more, I mean, I really don't know, to be honest, as far as how accurate it is. Like when the Hells Angels or anything like that were in their heyday. There's still clubs, there's still charters, and it's kind of like the Lions Club or something, but for people that ride their bikes, and they still kind of have that. They'll do community service and things like that. I don't know how many of them are involved in crime or drugs, but I'm sure it's still a thing.
The Mayans are doing nothing close to community service, Sean. That's not happening in this show.
Sure.
But yeah, it's still a decent show. I mean, it's not like the worst thing you've ever seen. I mean, there's lots of things that come closer to that one, but it's like I said, it's compelling, even though it's kind of not that good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to watch it.
Okay. Did I like turn you off to it, or?
You definitely did.
Oh, well, maybe next time I come up there, I'll make you watch it with me.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah. Okay. Two more things. The Innocent Men is a new true crime. I mean, there seems like Netflix is rolling these out at least once or twice a month. New true crime docuseries on Netflix. And this one's a little interesting because it involves John Grisham. What do you know about John Grisham, Sean?
He's an author.
Right.
I don't know what he's written though recently. He isn't he to do like the Pelican Brief and like the Law, Few Good Men type movies or type shows.
Time to Kill, Pelican Brief, The Firm, The Client. He's written over 40 books, so he's kind of like the Stephen King of legal, literature, fiction. But this particular show is really like concerns the only nonfiction book he wrote. So it's a 6-part series. It goes by really quick. I watched it in just a couple days. It's about incident that happened in the town of Ada, Oklahoma. So, like another kind of rural area, similar. I mean, a lot of similarities to that other one, Making a Murderer. So you have guys with names like Jim Bob, Billy Charlie, and my favorite, wait for it, I actually tried to name my RDR2 online character this name, and it said it was profane, and they would not let me name it. This character's name is Odell Titsworth.
Odell Titsworth. Good old Odell.
Right. So I thought that would be a name befitting a cowboy in 1899. Apparently, the people at Rockstar didn't think it was appropriate. So, anyway, this show concerns two sets of like murderers and kind of just like it really focuses on like a miscarriage of justice. There's a couple very like incredibly brutal crimes, and then these gentlemen get put away for it, and then DNA evidence overturns it, and then shortly thereafter they convict some other guys of the crimes after a supposed like forced confession. So it's kind of like this genre is starting to get a little bit like the same, in terms of everything. It gets to be a little one-sided at times. It is interesting though to watch. So if you are fiending for true crime, Matt, and an NHFC podcast, I know he likes the true crime, right?
Yep.
Yeah. No. He seems like, this would be right up your alley. So it's called The Innocent Men. I don't want to give a whole lot away by telling it what it is. It's just kind of, it seems like there's a lot of these things out there. One interesting thing I saw was it kind of like the theme of the show as it gets on and goes towards the end is how there's a lot of people who are wrongfully imprisoned. So the stat is there's 4% of the people in prison are wrongfully convicted, and that's about 90,000 individuals.
Jeez. So do you recommend it?
I do. I think I liked it. I mean, it was it gets you, it sucks you in, like a lot of these shows do. It's pretty quick, which is like unlike The Staircase, which it seemed like a really long show. Making a Murderer season 2 seems super long. This one's pretty quick. They're about 45 minutes each, 6 episodes total. So I recommend watching it.
Okay.
It's good. It's good.
All right.
And then last thing I saw today, Bruce Springsteen. I don't know how you feel about him, but
not a fan.
Yeah, he's been doing a Broadway show, and he had a Netflix special released today coinciding with the last run. So I thought it was really good. Like, I'm not a huge fan of his. I do like some of his songs. I would like to get into more of it, but it was good. I mean, he talks about his songs. He's known for like giving these very long onstage rants during his 4-hour plus concerts. So this seems like more or less a condensed version of that, but really deep guy, like made some really kind of profound statements. So I enjoyed it. If you're a fan of Bruce, definitely check it out.
Yeah. I mean, I respect him. I just don't think his music's that great.
Sure.
But he seems to be one of those guys that it's more about the lyrics and the context of what he's singing about as opposed to the actual music itself.
Right.
I don't know. And I don't pay attention to lyrics. So it's kind of a challenge I have. So
you're more of a music guy. Yeah.
Yeah. I just don't memorize them that often. I don't really if I read them, I'll take them in pretty well, but I usually look at vocals more as just another instrument compared to what are you telling me? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he does make a lot of statements about things. One thing that was interesting, he talked a little bit about music, and he says a lot of the songs he writes are just kind of like about the downtrodden people in America. So, he says when he writes these songs, he kind of takes their voice. It doesn't mean he's talking about him, which a lot of people think that's what he was
very
talking
blue
about.
Collar.
Yeah, totally. So he says a lot of it came from his dad, like he didn't have the best relationship with, but his dad was a blue collar working guy. So, he takes that voice, but then he also takes the voice of like disenfranchised veterans and things like that. So yeah, I can see where you're coming from on that though. He doesn't really change like the, through the years, he hasn't really changed kind of the arrangement of his songs. Contrast that with like Bob Dylan, who like is more of a lyrics guy too, but his songs like constantly change. Even to like the point where his own band doesn't even know what he's starting to play because he's like playing something different. So, yeah, but it's definitely pretty good. Interestingly to note that like tickets for this show were like $500 each, and that's a lot of people are like, well, he's like representing the common man, but he's charging this much money for his shows, so
yeah.
I thought that was interesting dichotomy there.
That's true. I mean, he's filthy rich, so that's how he gets there.
Yeah, absolutely. But
so you mentioned you're playing Red Dead Online now?
Yeah, I just started today.
And you made your character?
I did. Yeah, he looks like mangy, very mangy.
Yeah.
But does not look not someone you want to bring home to your parents. That's
what are your impressions so far?
I think it's pretty cool. I'll definitely be getting back into it again. I like how it's almost a separate game within the game. Like the way it starts, you're going to be taken like to prison. So like when they bring you in to check you out, that's where you kind of set up your character's name and their appearance. You get to modify everything down to like skin tone, hair. You can even adjust their walk, which I thought was kind of funny. So you could do like a
pretty boy
stride. Walk. That's the one I picked. I went with flamboyant.
Yeah, he's got a little gets the feathers out.
A little pep in my step there. Yeah. But yeah, I think it's very cool. It's almost like you have to work for things a little bit more on the online version. Whereas in the story mode, like you're constantly getting money. In the online version, like I think I killed some guy and I got like 11 cents. And I was like, ooh, okay. I'm going to have to save this.
Yeah, they said something about how they need to fix the economy in the story version just because it's people are having a hard time making money. But
yeah,
I played it with Matt a little bit. We had some fun, went around, harassed people just for a while and, did a couple quests. It's kind of like Grand Theft Auto Online. It seems like it has a lot of potential, but they kind of need to get it moving along before they lose their momentum.
Sure.
What's your progress on the story of that game?
I would say I think percentage wise, I'm like 35%. Like I haven't been playing honestly for like a week. But I went back in a couple days ago and knocked out a couple missions, but it's just so much in that game. I could be playing that until next year, well into next year, just if I did my own pace on it, which I'm totally fine with doing that. We've talked about it though. It's such a beautiful game. It's, it just seems like they put so much effort into it. It makes, when you play other games, it's like they kind of suck compared to this game.
Okay. So I've logged a lot of hours the last few days, hammering away at the campaign, and I really enjoy the campaign and the story. I like the pace. I know that it's slow and steady. I mean, I spent many hours just screwing around doing other things, and then I'm like, okay, I'm going to stay focused on the story here. Right. But with that being said, it definitely is following a very movie-esque type of plot. There's a couple elements that like really surprised me. There are some things I did not expect at all, for better or worse. And now I'm starting to kind of see like the climax of the story and the tension between characters and foreshadowing about how things are going to go. I'm kind of getting to that point to where I'm really liking how they're doing it, but I'm also kind of getting a little bit fatigued with some of the characters where you're kind of going like, okay, something's got to give here. You can't
shut up, dude.
Yeah, something's got to give. And so there's been some really cool missions on it, like really cool missions that I wish they would have had things like that earlier in the game, that because it starts off just way bit too slow. But
I was listening to Stern a couple days ago and they were talking about it, and Stern was like, "This sounds like all you're doing is like a bunch of chores."
Yes. When Matt plays it, he calls it cowboy chores.
Right. It's like, I didn't know this too. I learned this listening to Stern. Like, you can contract tuberculosis in the game.
Yes,
that's a thing. Like, okay, I don't know if that's a spoiler or not, but
it's a spoiler.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know this. That's like not something to look forward to. But
so I don't know all the details, but I do know that you know how you play your character good or bad.
Okay.
It is something that could happen to your character depending on like your good or bad status. Like, this good things happen to you or bad things happen to you.
Right.
So as the story progresses, depending on how you play the game, the cutscenes and stuff are different. So if you beat the game and you're like an honor standing, your path is very different compared to if you're a bad guy and you beat the game. You'll see different outcomes.
Become Doc Holliday.
Yeah. So I think that tuberculosis or contracting tuberculosis is involved in one of the themes, depending on like your status or something like that.
Wow. That's great.
Yeah. So it's interesting that because a lot of people will play it once and then they'll play it really bad and they'll play it again really good. And there's all these comparison videos online and stuff like that. But if you're looking to, the gameplay is not that great. The controls are pretty clunky. It looks great, and I like the immersion that you kind of have. Yeah. For me, the thing that it's an easy game, so I don't really feel like there's any kind of technical challenge. So my biggest complaints are picking up stuff and interacting with the environment's a little funky, and
or like when you're in camp and like you walk really slow and it's like, hurry up, dude.
Yeah, I know. And it's also usually like when you're shooting people, like you're behind cover and then you pull the trigger and he'll pop up and aim right on the person, and then you move the thing up and hit him, and then you just keep letting go and pulling it, and he'll just keep aiming at the people. So I don't really feel like the game is difficult, and I like technical games that are a little bit more challenging.
It's fine with me. I don't play that much, so
it's perfect for you.
It's right up my alley. There's not really. Is there a difficulty setting on this?
I don't think there is. There might be, maybe after you beat it or something. But so a lot of times it can tire you out because you're just kind of going through the motions just to like watch the story and stuff, but you don't really feel like all the upgrades and all the things that I'm getting. I don't really feel that different. I unlock all these things for my horse ooh, I can, pull them back on the reins and do some epic, kick my little horsey legs in the air move.
I can make the stock on my gun a different color.
Yeah, there's all these little things like that doesn't really change anything.
Yeah.
So
cool,
I just don't do any
tricks.
of them. Yeah, I just don't do them. So it's very immersive, but almost to the point to where it's kind of just
too immersive,
patronizing itself or something. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of minutia,
Yeah, there you go. A lot of minutia.
A lot of minutia, but
too much sizzle. Too much sizzle. Not enough steak.
Okay.
Yeah. There we go.
I like that.
That'd be my official review. Like, so what'd you think? I'm like, it's too much sizzle, not enough steak.
Oh, all that jelly and no toast.
All that jelly and no toast. So the Dogs of Berlin. Have you heard of that?
No, I think I saw it. It's a Netflix thing.
Yeah,
I think I saw it flipping through.
It's a modern crime drama set in Berlin. It's a German show, so kind of like what was the last one we watched? Dark. So it's like that. It's German, but this it's very interesting. I'm really digging the show. You would totally dig it. So just start watching it as soon as possible. I'm halfway through the season, and the whole premise is a very popular soccer player on the German team was killed and found left for dead, and a cop kind of gets, he just happened to be living near where they dropped the body, and so he recognized who it was and was like, this could be the case that breaks my career. Mm-hmm. And so he's not really supposed to get the case, but he was able to manipulate it to where he could. But he's a kind of a shady dude, so he's got all these side hustles going on.
Is he like McNulty?
Yeah, he's like McNulty, but
McNulty, my office.
Yeah, he's kind of like McNulty, but he's a little bit more shady. He's like so he's got these weird ties though, because his brother and his mom are Nazis, and they're part of like this neo-Nazi group, and so it's kind of interesting seeing German programs that have Nazis in them and how they portray modern Nazis.
Modern, yeah. And
then there's a bunch of Turkish people, because outside of Turkey, the largest Turkish population, I guess, is in Berlin. So that's a huge component of the plot and the story. And then there's another character who is kind of like a homicide detective. He's like a kind of a homosexual, but he doesn't
kind of a homosexual.
Well, he is, but he doesn't really. He kind of keeps on the down low because of his job, and it doesn't seem like Germany's as progressive. So he tries to not portray that, but if it comes up, he accepts it. But you could kind of tell it's something that he has to deal with. He doesn't really lead you to believe that at all. So like the way that he portrays it, it's kind of like, okay, that's totally fine. There's no tell, so to speak.
Right.
Cause he's kind of a tough ass. So he's a really cool character.
Cool.
Yeah. He just kind of goes against
like
a lot of the stereotypes that you would think. Mm-hmm. And then there's a few other really interesting characters, but there's the theme and the plot and the way that it's kind of been progressing. It's been very interesting. It's not incredibly violent, although there's a lot of moments where it's like super, super violent. But it's very kind of dark. I don't know what it is, but maybe it's because it's German. It's got this like edginess to it that you just don't really see on a lot of like American produced content. Right. I think that they're just a little bit more, I don't know how to quite explain it, but
yeah,
it's a little bit deeper. Like a lot of the dialogue and the plot and the way that things are going are just a little bit more twisted than they need to be, but it works because of what it is.
I think it's because they don't shy away from a lot of those issues. That hang up Americans so much. I mean, when
that's a good way to say it.
The cop genre, like that's why I like The Wire so much, because it has that kind of stuff in there that you're talking about. So I'm definitely going to check this show out. But like when like regular primetime series, like they get into those issues, it's like on a special edition of New York, NYPD Blue, this person comes out of the closet, so it's like they like dedicate like one episode to it, but they don't get into it as much as it sounds like this one does. And also it sounds like this one would be a great book, and that's what makes like a great series, I think, these days, is if it sounds like a novel, like it's not just, okay, we solved the case, let's go to the next one. And it's like things progress and the characters develop a lot more through that progression of the story. So I think that's way cool. I mean, another show this is making me think of that I've been checking out is Money Heist, which is, I definitely recommend that one. And because that one has like a lot of similar stuff going on in that one too. That's out of Spain. So I mean, it sounds like a lot of this stuff is Europeans have never really been afraid like these issues, and we have, interesting enough, that we're going around so we're so progressive, and it's like
we're not.
Really.
We're actually pretty conservative.
Yeah, extremely so. But
like a lot of the characters, very similar to The Wire, but I think a little bit more extreme. They're a lot deeper, and there's more richness. At least so far, what I've seen so far, that everybody's kind of got skin in the game. They all have like a little side hustle or something going on, and they're not just portrayed. So it's really hard to like root for somebody and then also like hate them at the same time. And
well, you spend so much time with the character, it's like you're kind of ambivalent, but at the same time, you could root for him. I mean, it just depends on the situation, right?
It's interesting because, you want the guy to succeed, right? But at the same time, you kind of realize, oh, he's a piece of shit. But when he's doing his job, he's good at it, and you want him to succeed. But then you see him manipulating and spinning things on the side for himself, and then you're kind of like, okay, I don't know if I should root for this guy or not. But then they also had other interesting directions where they took characters that you first were not liking for a long time, and then you start to be sympathetic for that character. It's been an interesting journey so far. So if you're looking for something that's not slow paced, it's got some good energy to it. So check it out. Dogs of Berlin on Netflix.
Sounds too like there are shows in America like Breaking Bad, Fargo, The Wire that portray this topic too, but like it seems like in other foreign shows they're not also afraid to admit that humans have flaws, and it's like, especially people in like esteemed positions like police officers, or in America it's like, the big scandal comes out, how dare this person? But it's like, people are human and they make mistakes, and I'm not condoning those mistakes, but it's like we're a little more rash to admit that people have like flaws in their characters and deep-seated whatever. So that's refreshing. It's a new series, right?
But even with it's a new series. But even with something like Breaking Bad, I think a lot of people kind of have stars in their eyes and they talk about that show. But when I go back and watch a handful of those episodes or certain things, it is a little bit it's kind of ridiculous where a lot of it was a little too much, too Hollywood-esque. Like these people can just do whatever they want with little repercussion, and they continue to get away with
Anarchy.
It's like that. It's just a little bit ridiculous. And so I think that what Breaking Bad, in my opinion, did great is was very creative with how they told stories, subject matters, and they had some good characters, and then a lot of the other characters are not so great.
Hank.
Hank's not so great, but he did his part. But but a lot of it is just kind of, it's very hard to believe. Some of that stuff you're kind of going like, okay, you're going to leave a bigger mess than this. You're going to get caught, or you're going to do these kinds of things. So I don't know. I still really like the show. I think it's great, but I remember just kind of getting through some of it, just getting kind of sick of the characters. And
Saul might be a better show, like
I think it's more
starting to lean that way.
Well, are you current with it?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like I finished the last one pretty recently, and okay, that's where his name came from. But it was interesting where he just, like, his characters did that kind of flip all of a sudden. You're like, whoa, but you could see the progression.
It's an interesting character study. It's not like kind of gimmick. It's not as gimmicky as Breaking Bad was, where they clearly had moments that were cliffhangers. And this show's Saul's not really a cliffhanger type show.
It's very slow progression.
It is, and that's why I don't think a lot of people like it, because I think they're expecting the same type of thing from Breaking Bad, but they're clearly trying to do something different. But what I appreciate about it is that it's interesting, and there is a lot of intelligence behind how Saul is doing what he's doing. And even with his path, it's really, really, it's a very clever. So I would say that it's more refined. If they were at this point when they started making Breaking Bad, they probably would have been a little bit more conservative and not as grand on some of their ideas.
Yeah.
Some of the characters could have been maybe toned down a little bit, not so much like Scarface-esque, but where they're almost like characters of themselves.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Like I think like Mike Armentrout's a great character because he's always very consistent. Gus is a great character, but when you start getting people like Tuco or a lot of the people that are in the mafia,
Tuco's uncle,
just certain
ding,
people
ding,
you're just
ding,
over.
ding, yeah.
All right,
nice.
So, only other thing I think I have in regards to just some movies and entertainment news. So you've seen the trailers for Mortal Engines, that latest endeavor by Peter Jackson.
Yeah, it's like, what's that coming? It's like, that's London, and it's like a big old I don't know what the hell it is.
It's like a city on wheels.
Yeah, it looks kind of like Wild Wild West.
It does.
That movie, I was like, this looks a lot like that movie. Like, it's just like they didn't have enough money back then to do all this stuff, and now that's what it is. And I'm like, all right, like you can hype it up and say it's the guy who did The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, but it's like, yeah.
It feels like a Wachowski siblings
totally
type of movie with Cloud Atlas type of feel to it. Peter Jackson's like the executive producer on it. It was directed by Christian Rivers, and he's been involved in a lot of Pete Jackson's movies. The Hobbits, the Lord of the Rings. He was like assistant art director. He's uncredited storyboard artist on a lot of stuff. So it's either his directorial debut or he's got, a couple director credits on him. And so anyways, looks like it's an opportunity for him to kind of do his big story, but the trailer looks terrible and it's projected to lose more than $100 million.
Ooh.
Yeah. So they're calling it a steampunk fantasy adventure that is an epic plot, according to Variety here.
I don't know about steampunk.
Yeah, well, the budget was over it's kind of got a steampunk vibe to it,
Okay.
with their set and costume direction. The budget was over about $100 million, and they spent tens of millions in global marketing. And so, anyways, it only made $42 million globally.
Ooh.
And so, yeah.
I think it's just that people need like something a little more familiar. It's hard to sell like an original concept, but this one just seems kind of silly,
Well, it's like it's a story that was already kind of written and had some equity, I guess, with people. I don't know if it's a book or not. I should probably look into it more.
Maybe a comic book or something.
Yeah, well, you know how like Peter Jackson did what's that? Adventures of Tintin.
Yeah.
So that was, him and Spielberg did that, and nobody in America really gives a damn about that story, but in Europe, it's a really popular comic. So this is something very similar, where a Twilight was a popular books before it was made into a whatchamacallit, until a movie, and same with Harry Potter. It was incredibly successful before they became movies, and this is something very similar.
Okay.
So I could be totally talking out of my ass there, but I'm pretty sure that's
you're
the
good.
case. But yeah, according to Universal, this guy named Jeff Bach, he went on the quote saying, "This is a true Christmas disaster and a lump of coal for Universal." So, yeah, that's a lot of money to lose. But anyways, you kind of saw it and you kind of knew, like, all right, this thing's going to bomb. You just start to
It's just
call
like
it.
not a lot of these movies are attracting me. I think the only thing I want to see on Christmas is Vice.
Yes, there you go.
I'm probably gonna go see that Christmas Day. But this movie, I don't know. Yeah, well, I got one quick one just to wrap up the movie stuff.
Okay.
It's all the upcoming Disney films. Like they just put out their whole list. I know we've done some of these, but I want to see if you can spot the common theme, Sean. It's actually 2 of them.
Take a cartoon and make it live action.
Hey, but also so we have like Dumbo, we have Aladdin, we have Toy Story. That's been Lion King. But it's interesting how a lot of these are being directed by like people that we're pretty familiar with. That I didn't know were doing these movies. So Dumbo is Tim Burton.
Yep.
Aladdin's Guy Ritchie.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Lion King is that Favreau?
Yep.
Is he doing that? Right?
Yes.
There's another one called Artemis Fowl by Kenneth Branagh. I guess he's had time off from doing Orient Express sequel to do that one. A lot of these are just kind of like remakes of everything else. There's a new Pixar movie, live action Mulan. These are all coming in 2020. Maleficent, Jungle Cruise with The Rock. Yeah. Looks like another Rock. And then we have Untitled Disney live action movie, but then it has Kenneth Branagh's picture as that annoying detective. So it's like you're not really keeping that a secret. Another live action movie in 2021. Looks like we already talked about this one, Pinocchio. And another live action film of The Little Mermaid in 2021.
Yeah, they're remaking all their classics.
Yeah.
It's just it's a money machine.
Book. Yeah, man. And then another one. It's just like I'm scrolling through this list of movies coming up in the next 4 years, and they're all remakes of all kinds of stuff. It's just kind of like,
Well, here's the we were getting remakes before, King Kong and
sure,
you name it. There's Godzilla, tons of remakes, and so they do pretty decent in the box office if there's enough time, and it's also like something you want to see with new technology and stuff like that. But since Disney has the rights and they own all these things, their remakes are just more of like a retelling of it. It's not like if they re-released The Lion King as another cartoon, it's like sacrilegious to Disney people. So
sure,
by them doing this, they're able to cash in again to an already huge fan base. There's already an ecosystem supporting Lion King everywhere. It's kind of like a no-brainer, and it just spits out money. So I get it, but the downside is I wish there was more unique stories coming out. I mean, the last thing I can think that Disney did was, the Princess and the Frog. That was like the hand-drawn type of animation. But Pixar is the only studio really under Disney, in my opinion, that's coming out with new stories.
Which is cool.
But, I mean, is Disney ever going to come out with another cartoon that's as big as The Lion King? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't look like it because I just gave you like all the movies for the next 4 years, Sean. So I didn't see one in there. It's all like, I think they've put all that into Pixar, like you said, and it's just changed their game. So that's fine. But
all right.
Yeah.
You ready to move on?
That's it. Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's talk some news.
All right.
Me, you, me.
I'll go.
Yeah.
I'll go. So I got some
like Roxbury there.
Right. I got some quick ones, and then I have some not so quick ones.
Okay. So, well, you choose the ones that get you excited.
Okay. Well, most of them do, but we have a man in San Francisco recently died. He was 36, and he coughed up a blood clot that was shaped exactly like a lung passage. Sean, remember those like diagrams in like middle school of the lung?
Yeah.
Yeah, it looked like a tree branch, kind of like.
Yeah, it's got little like roots in it and stuff.
Yeah, so this guy, like, he was coughing so severely that he spit out a bright red blood clot. It perfectly shaped like the airway passage of his right lung's bronchial tree. Kind of crazy. There's a picture of it. You can look it up online. But and then he went to the hospital and he was okay for a little while. It was like a really extreme cough. So like this whole thing just came out of his lung. It's kind of gross, but. Yeah, and then 2 weeks later, he died of a heart attack. So, kind of crazy. Yeah. So there's a picture of it online if you want to check that out. That was a holdover story from last week. Also have some more Florida news.
Of course, you do.
Yeah, I've been scouring the internet and they're not too hard to find. So this happened to a guy who he was in Florida. His name is Dominic Breedlove, age 24, of Hudson. he basically had a job interview at Kohl's, and then immediately after his interview, he decided to steal 2 pairs of shoes from the store. So, went and had his little job interview, and then he stole 2 pairs of shoes in broad daylight in the afternoon. He searched all the Nike pairs of shoes for a pair without a security tag, and then he found a suitable pair. Went to his car, got a bag, came back in, put him in the bag, and then walked out, and then got in trouble for it. So, more proof that brilliant things do happen in Florida, Sean.
Oh boy, good old Florida.
Yeah. You ever heard of the band Cannibal Corpse?
I have.
Yeah, well,
I've heard of Cannibal Corpse.
Yeah, hey, well, their guitarist, he was arrested there for burglary and assault during a house fire. So, his name is Pat O'Brien, and this is a crazy story, but he's a guitarist in the death metal band Cannibal Corpse, and he was arrested not too long ago. He broke into a neighbor's home. I didn't know, but this is actually in Florida as well, in Tampa, Florida. And then he broke into a neighbor's home, and then he charged a sheriff's deputy with a knife. And then the whole time this happened, his house was burning to the ground. So around the time of the break-in, a fire started in his house. Ammunition and military-style flamethrowers were exploding inside of his home. So he ran away from the house, and then he went to his neighbor's house, like basically broke in, because he thought, they won't find me here, and it'll be safer. He went to the house, and after being told to leave, he pushed one of the residents to the ground against her will, and then ran into the backyard. And then sheriff's deputy arrived on the scene, and then this genius, O'Brien, ran towards the deputy with a knife in his right hand. And O'Brien was summarily tased, which is great. Booked on charges of aggravated assault on a law enforcement officer and burglary, occupied dwelling with assault and battery. So, representatives for Cannibal Corpse offered no comment.
What's this dude, loaded or something, or what's going on?
I don't know. He looks crazy, though. If you see his picture, he looks a little bit like Tommy Wiseau from The Disaster Artist.
Yeah. Hot mess.
He looks a little crazy. So... Yeah, just look at this picture. He doesn't look very happy at all. And it's not even a mugshot. This is a picture from a couple years ago. So,
oh boy,
weird, wild stuff.
Yeah. That's a weird, wild stuff.
Amazon. Oh man, we keep talking about Skynet and how Amazon is probably going to be Skynet.
So, I'm telling you.
Amazon.
So we hear about this Skynet.
Hey, Amazon, a robot, sent 24 workers to a hospital. I don't know if you know about this one.
An Amazon robot?
Yeah, so this is at the Amazon Fulfillment Center in Robbinsville, New Jersey. The robot went rogue, obviously, and ended up sending 24 workers to the hospital. Sorry.
Oh my God! So what kind of robot is this?
So what this robot did, it was like a robot machine. It punctured a can of bear repellent spray.
Okay.
So bear repellent spray.
Not really supposed to even ship some of that stuff.
That's what I'm saying. So it has this stuff in it called capsaicin. It's it's an ingredient in pepper spray.
Yeah, it's like the strong, and this thing launches a straight beam up to 20 feet in front of you. It's like a one-time shot, and supposed to get a charging bear. So,
well, this one did 24 employees, so shit works.
It punctures the spray, and then the thing explodes or something. Did it say what happened?
Yeah. It's so pretty much like the can was punctured, and then 24 workers were sent to hospitals, including one in critical condition, and then 30 other people were treated. So all it says is that their statement was a damaged aerosol can. They didn't say a damaged can of bear spray. It dispensed strong fumes in a contained area. And then they also noted that the safety of our employees is our top priority. They said that and then they said again that the safety of their employees is their top priority, even though 24 of them are in the hospital now. And then they say again that the safety of our employees is their top priority. So they keep saying that throughout their statement. I'm not reading the whole thing, but Yeah, I thought that was pretty crazy. Amazon's automated robots put humans in life-threatening danger today, the effects of which could be catastrophic. This is what somebody said from the retail, wholesale, and department store union said. So they're not too happy about what happened. Our union will not back down until Amazon is held accountable for these and so many more dangerous labor practices. But it's like, this is what happens when you mix the automated with the people, you know? Like the automated, they might be replacing those people one day. So it's like, it's going to happen, right?
Yeah, you'd think so.
Yeah, but you'd think so. But I guess so.
You'd think so.
All right, I'll give you two more. So these are really good ones. Did you hear about what KFC did?
No, I just saw a meme the other day that just had the sign of KFC and it just said bucket on the thing.
Well, you're way off. So KFC's a chicken chain for those of you who've been living in a cave for the last 30 years. And they've just debuted their 11 herbs and spices fire log. So when you lit this thing, right? So we all know
what is in this thing?
Log. So we can't tell you, Sean, because it's a company secret. But it's 11 herbs and spices. When you light it up, it smells like the chain's fried chicken.
I gotta look this up. So what's it called?
Go to kfcfirelogs.com. That's their official store.
Oh my God, this is real.
I think they might be sold out though.
It's got like I would buy one of these and throw it in the.
Do it.
Look at this.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, so those who don't know, it's got like the old timey Colonel face on it. It's like this nice. Right. It's one of those flammable fire starter logs.
Yes.
And it's wrapped in like this brown waxy paper. It's a cool design. They got a cool little design and theme going on here at kfc.com/fire-log.
Is it sold out or is it?
No, listen to this.
You should buy one for the podcast.
Their copy to sell this says, for more than 1 million years.
A million years.
Hold on. For more than 1 million years, mankind has been attempting to improve upon the simple fire. We've tried burning different things like sticks or leaves or various incriminating documents. We've tried making fires last longer. We've even figured out how to turn them into different colors. All of that experimentation, all of that innovation has culminated into this event, the KFC 11
racist mascot.
Herbs and Spices Fire Log from EnviroLog.
Oh, wow. I love how they, not mentioning...
sold out. Yeah. Yep, it's out.
Yep.
How did you hear about this thing?
This has popped up, man. One of those Facebook things, but I'm like, how could you not hear about this thing, dude?
Oh, so here's the disclaimer or the heads up bullet points. So each fire log can burn for 2.5 to 3 hours, can be stored and no shelf life, store in a safe, dry area away from pets, and then the last three may result in a craving for fried chicken. We know the fire log smells great, but please do not attempt to eat it. How
many people how many stoned idiots in the South ignored that one? It's a big log of chicken.
Number 4, may attract bears or neighbors who are hungry.
Well, call Amazon. They have bear mace.
And then number 5, please don't put face directly in fire to attempt to smell fried chicken.
Yeah, they got to say that because their clientele would probably do that.
Hats off to their marketing team for that. That's pretty rad.
Isn't that cool? KFC fire log, chicken log.
Chicken log.
What's next, Sean?
I don't know. Like the Big Mac candle or something?
Yeah, right. Scented candles from McDonald's. You could make your night romantic with our exclusive McRib candle.
Jeez.
Get the filet of fish. So all the news, like they always wrap it up with that nice little heartwarming story. Well, my story is this guy in Vermont, he spent $4,000 of his own money on a giant statue to give his town the middle finger.
Okay.
Right? Yeah, so this is in Westford, Vermont, and Ted Pelkey, 10 years ago, I'll back it up a little bit, He wanted to build an 8,000 square foot garage so he can move all his truck repair and his recycling businesses to his own property rather than working in the nearby town. But the Westford Select Board and Review Board kept blocking him for many years. Kept saying no. So there's not really any clearance as to why they kept saying no, but this gentleman couldn't take it anymore, so he showed town officials what he thought of them. He commissioned a statue of a gigantic middle finger. This statue was made out of 700-pound block of pine, and he stuck it on top of a 16-foot pole, and it cost him $4,000.
Sounds like a worthy investment to me.
Yes. That
guy must have been pretty pissed.
Right, just so that, you only see it in the daytime, you put up 2 floodlights so it can see it all day and all night. Pelkey says, I've been put through the ringer by these people, and it's just not right. I haven't been treated fairly at all. I was sitting at a bar, of course, and said to my wife, hey, I want to get a statue made of a middle finger, and I'm going to put it up on the lawn. He thought that the town officials would force him to take it down, but they cannot. They banned billboards, but since the giant middle finger is not advertising a business, it falls under the category of public art and is therefore protected by free speech. Kind of cool, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of like cool to look at, but it's it might be an eyesore after a while, especially for one of his neighbors. He also wanted to make it clear that he's not flipping off the entire town, just the people that wronged him.
Oh, like they're gonna know that.
Right, unless you write something on there. But yeah, so interesting news. I think the gem out of that little run was the KFC chicken log.
Amen, KFC.
I was gonna get you one for Christmas, Sean, but they're sold out.
That
might have head to eBay after this.
Your apartment would stink for so long on that thing.
Do you have a fire? Do you have a fireplace in your apartment?
I do. Yeah, like in Washington, you don't get air conditioners; you get a fireplace instead.
That's kind of cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, so if you want to get one,
eBay right now.
Yeah, I'm looking right now. There's I get one for $369. $300, $169 and $79.
Wow, just
brother.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's move on. I'm just gonna talk about a couple here, so we don't go on too long.
Sure.
So there was a Russian event, like a technology event, in Russia, and they had this human-looking type of robot technology they're showcasing off, and it's kind of a Losha robot. And it's by a company called Show Robots. It costs about $3,700. And anyways, so it kind of is on this big stage, and the thing's interacting and talking with you and moving and stuff like that. And then there's a lot of photos of it afterwards, like in their social media channels, where like people are talking to this robot as it's walking around the exhibit floor, and it walks and looks like a robot. It's actually a dude in a robot suit. So they
that's hilarious.
There's like a photo on this Russian Twitter account. You can like look through it and you can see like some guy's head and neckline in there. Like they didn't like disguise it well enough. So it's totally fake and it's a big ripoff. People were like questioning how advanced the robot was. And they didn't understand. They're like, "Whoa, look at this thing!" And they're all blown away by it.
Lifelike.
And then next thing you know, it's like, no, it's just a dude in a suit trying to fool you all. That Russia is all over it. So we've got that. We've got that news. In other, I've been still working through watching the Americans on Amazon, which is a pretty entertaining show. And this story caught my eye about an alleged Russian spy, Maria Butina, pled guilty to engaging in conspiracy against the USA. So this was on CNN Politics. She was alleged, and eventually she pled guilty of infiltrating Republican political circles to influence U.S. relations with Russia before the 2016 election. So she's 30 years old. She would attend conferences such as like the NRA, the National Prayer Breakfast, organized gatherings and stuff like that. And what her goal was to establish like unofficial lines of communication with Americans having power and influence over the U.S. politics. And she was working under the direction of Russian officials. So
wow,
they're still here. We all knew it, but they're still here.
She cut some kind of deal, or what's going to happen?
You know, I don't know.
Back to Russia?
I don't know. So it's just she's basically looking at a maximum of 5 years in prison, but will probably get 0 to 6 months based off of a plea agreement. But according to the Americans, if she gets busted and she commits treason by lying, when they send her back, she gets shot in the head. So we'll see what happens there.
Jeez. Okay.
Yeah, I know. That's kind of what happens in the show.
Yeah.
So, sorry there. A couple things from Russia. Interesting other kind of tech stories here for you. You know, I love those. So YouTube has been going under lots of pressure for problem content. And, you know, people are starting to use the platform more and more because it's not only the second largest search engine ever, it's under the Google banner. And so recently they took down 58 million videos and 224 million comments during the third quarter that were violations of its policies. And so that's a lot of content that people are putting up. Most of the content was kind of like spam, and they're like really having a hard time fighting against like fake accounts and spam and all this crap. People, like, you could be a YouTube creator or an influencer in whatever your niche is, and people will just lift your video, repost it, skinned exactly the same, and then they will get the ad revenue and stuff for your content, and it's really hard to fight against that. So a lot of people just poach each other's stuff out there because you do that enough, put a big enough spread out there, and you can make some money. So yeah, they also just did a huge purge of fake subscribers because people will pay for subscribers. So let's say that you're like let's say Facebook, for example. I can make an ad and I could advertise the Harsch review, and I could say, talk to people who are 18 to 50 years old who like movies and news stories, and then it'll show them something you might be interested in, and then they can like your page. Or I can go to a third party and I can pay them X amount per likes, and then they have all these accounts that are all just fake accounts, and they run a script, and all those accounts will instantly like our page. And so what it does is it gives you like this little social ego, because you might look at your Instagram or your Twitter. You can buy Twitter followers, Instagram followers, YouTube followers, because it gives you a little bit of like false social status to where, you know, people like to fake it until you make it, so to speak. Because what's happening, especially on something like Instagram, is that if you have enough followers, it's actually the most lucrative form of ROI is to pay an influencer to pitch your product or show your product. So that's how people like Kardashian are making their money, is they have all these followers, and then a makeup company will give her $50,000 to like give her a shout out on their new lipstick or something like that. And that's how they make their money as far as an influencer goes. And it's actually the highest ROI for most marketing, because the people that are engaged with it are really engaged with you and your brand. So let's say I've got $10,000. I can go and pay and get thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of fake followers on Instagram, all of a sudden appear like I'm some influencer in whatever my market is, and then start soliciting from these companies who will look at you and go, wow, he's got 300,000 followers. Yeah, we'll give you $2,500 if you take a photo of you drinking a Coke, you know.
It's like the fake guy robot, you know. It's people fall for it.
It's just getting worse and worse.
Yeah.
And so YouTube, being as big as it is having a hard time fighting that. And the integrity of that business model is kind of under attack. And so they've done a lot of things to start trying to discourage that. You know, you have to have a certain amount of hours viewed and a certain amount of followers within a current year to maintain like subscription status. And then if you don't maintain your account over a period of time, they pull it back from you, so you can't keep making money. And
we got to remember, like, this stuff is still young. You know, I mean, you know, it's been around for a while, so it's like people are just playing with it, and that's kind of what's going on. It's like people are really testing out the possibilities. It's smart of them to put some limitations on it now, but it's like you can't be surprised when people start messing around with your product a little bit, because anything you put out, someone's going to bastardize it, find a way to mess with it, or always pulling the wool over people's eyes. So I think it's kind of funny, but it's bound to happen. It's inevitable.
Yeah. So there's a lot of that kind of going on. So staying on the technology train and talking about Google, did you watch any of the press events with Mr. Pichai? He's the CEO of Google. That he was at Congress when they were talking to him about Google and all this stuff recently.
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because if you type idiot into Google, most of the images in the search reveal pictures of Donald Trump. And he believes that is like intentional, hurting his character and that kind of stuff. So the CEO of Google is testifying like how Google works, and he's explaining it to all these dumbass congressmen who don't understand technology and how things are working. And he's saying it doesn't quite work that way because a Google trend is a Google trend. But what a lot of people can do is they can like manipulate that system to where those trends happen. And so that's kind of what's happening a little bit is if you go in and type idiot and it shows you a picture of Donald Trump, it's not just discovering on its own that Trump's an idiot. That's people taking pictures of Trump and tagging him as idiot. And then those images rank in their database, which increases the chances of images associated with that word will rank. So that's kind of what's happening a little bit. But listening to him try and describe it is kind of pretty funny,
Like Congress is like, well, hey, like the people of America are trying to tell you something here, Like if that's what's going, because I just typed in idiot and I see nothing but Trump right now. So it's like,
yeah, well,
it's like that's how your people are communicating with you now. They don't, they don't have representation in Congress. So what are they're going to take to the internet, and that's what they're going to do.
Well, for example, they call it Google bombing, but there is a link also to when British protesters pushed Green Day's song American Idiot to the top of the UK charts during the day of the presidential visit in July.
Oh, my.
And, yeah, so kind of people just started kind of doing that thing where you could just tag photos with Trump in it and just tag him as idiot and get him to rank.
Right. Yeah.
And it goes on. Like, it's not the first time, though, because, like, George W. Bush, if you search the phrase miserable failure, it would pull him up. And, so it's kind of happening.
Jeez. It's kind of fun. It's just hilarious to me. I don't know why, but it's very absurd. But that's just like, that's our times.
The congressmen just don't know anything about technology. Like, for example,
they're like 80 years old.
I know, but listen to this. Republican Steve King, he asked the Google CEO to explain why his granddaughter's iPhone was acting strangely. And he just simply said, "We don't make the iPhone."
Yeah, dude.
I don't know. We're Google. It's not us.
He's like, "Hey, you got a minute? What's this Ask Jeeves thing I've heard about? Is that a better?" That's so funny.
I know.
Wow. It's just hey, at least the guy came in though. I mean, he gave some of his time. I'm sure he'd want to do better things as a CEO of Google, but when your country needs you, you take the call, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So
wow.
so
that's great.
Here's a real quick hit for you before I'm ready to wrap up. And the last thing on my technology thing here. So you know how people do like drones and they're flying those, thousands and thousands of miles away and they're doing drones and drone attacks and stuff like that. So Taylor Swift recently performed at the Rose Bowl, where you're going to go see the Stones here in a couple months.
Yeah.
So she had her team install facial recognition system into the stadium, and it was being monitored 2,000 miles away in Nashville, Tennessee, for known stalkers of hers. Because she has some real creepers that will try and stalk her. Some people have tried like breaking in her house, all this kind of crap. And so they have photos and faces of all these people, and they're scanning everyone. So, and so everybody who went by would stop, and they'd stare at the thing, and the software starts working to see if that person is one of them. So if they were identified, then they'd probably get removed. But typically, this is something that is going to be happening more and more at concerts, especially where you have people that are a bit fanatical.
Yeah.
I thought it was just kind of interesting that at a concert, it's now a way that they're going to fight stalkers, where, like we mentioned it, I think last week or the week before, in Minority Report, when Tom Cruise is walking into that mall and it scans his eyes and it's giving him advertisements specifically for him. And, you get in and out of the subway and your face is getting scanned everywhere. So now they're using facial recognition on a huge crowd and scanning for people's faces that are creepers.
I'm going to play devil's advocate. I just want to look at the data, okay? So what data supports in the past, like have fanatical fans tried anything towards an artist at a concert?
They won't do it at a concert, but it's the if you have a restraining order on somebody.
Okay.
Right, and where you see it like in shows where they want to kill them or they want to do this or they might have some kind of agenda, or they're just people you don't want around because they have history of stalking you and being kind of crazy. So what I would say is it's probably something more along the lines of enforcing, you're in a public place like that people can get into. So let's say she has restraining order on like 15 or 20 people. You don't want those people going there and staring at you, and they make you fearful or uncomfortable. You know what I mean?
I wonder if John Mayer is one of them.
Yeah, he might be.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Like he tries to get in, like, Mr. Mayer, we can't let you in.
Mr. Mayer,
you're on the list. Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy, man. Well, that's not going to happen to any of the concerts I go to. Half the shows I go to, the lead artists are practically dead anyway. So
yeah,
I don't think anyone would want to do anything crazy to them.
Yeah, not at all.
Yeah. Wow.
All right, boy.
That would just hold up things too, I think.
Yeah, that's true.
But whatever. Okay.
All right,
boy.
All right, boy. That's gonna do it for us this week.
Watch this show you told me about. Very excited now.
Yeah, check it out. Dogs of Berlin.
Give that movie another try. Got a lot of time on my hands.
Send me a message after you watch the first episode and be like, tell me what you think.
Okay. Will do.
Yeah, so hey guys out there, if you haven't subscribed to our podcast yet, we greatly appreciate it. It makes a big difference, so be sure to click subscribe on your podcast player. Make sure you can follow us every week. You can check Ryan and I out on Twitter as well, at Sean Harsch or at Ryan Harsch. And stay tuned for next week, episode 55, be dropping on Christmas Day.
Yeah.
I anticipate we will have no one listen because they'll be doing stuff with Santa.
And also KFC logs on an open fire.
Yes, I know.
Jack Frost nipping at your nose.
Oh boy. That'll do it for us, folks.
All right.
Have a good one.
Bye.